we shall begin. This is by far the most anticipated upload on this channel's history, I think. I'm trying to think of another one and I can't remember it. He has been hyping this video for, what, like 3 months? Maybe longer? And since he's brought it up, we have been geared. We've been ready. I am in full Johann Doyle regalia. Thank you to the generous gifters in chat for this. And we are prepared for John Doyle's magnum opus, How Porn is Destroying You and Our Country. John motherfucking Doyle. John Doyle doesn't want you to fap so badly, he made an hour and 42-minute long video. Now, I'm going to do my best. We're going to play it at 1.25 speed. We may need to take stops on this journey. Like a long train journey across the vast western United States. We may at times need to take a break, recollect ourselves, talk to each other. You may see this upload. Maybe the upload is in pieces as well. If we find a natural stopping point, we will stop. We'll recollect, and then we'll start anew on the next version of this. So, without further ado, John Doyle's How Porn is Destroying You and Our Country.
Good call.
Meaty, thank you so much for giving one to Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon, big fan of the show. This is where the fun begins.
I'm going to dive right into this because I have no idea how to properly start this video, and to be honest with you, I've been pretty anxious about making it, which is why we've been absent for a while, why it's taken so long to put out, because there's so much to cover, and I want to make sure that I do it in a way that is optimally thorough and digestible, and also because very few people actually talk about this issue, so watch it in parts if you have to. Just make sure that you watch the whole thing, because I think that this will end up being one of the most important videos that we've ever done. So I'll just start off by saying
some of you already asked for 1.5 speed. He just talks really fast. I don't think we can handle 1.5. Degeneracy counter? Yeah, we'll do a degeneracy counter. How about this? How about this? I'll set it up right now. Okay. Wait. Did I do that wrong? Text. Yes.
Good call, baby bird. Good call.
Okay. And then we'll have to do, I don't know, that. And it'll say like, what do you think? Yellow? We'll do a yellow. A nice yellow. Shades are affecting my ability to see the color correctly. Okay. All right, we'll put that up there in the corner. There we go. All right. T-Nav, thanks so much for the 19 months, dude. Over-under is 3 times. It is.
There is no greater threat to the future of our country than pornography. Not socialism, not the left, not big government, pornography. And I'll prove.
I'm sorry. There's no. I didn't know he was going to say something stupid like that quickly. The biggest threat to the country is if you guys are really into feet and you want to watch someone sucking on some toes. Okay, that's the biggest problem with this country. When I think about stuff, I think about how you guys get off. Man, the way that you like to rub one out really bothers me. That's definitely true. That's definitely true.
Prove that to you if you lend me your attention for however long this takes us to get through. Please bear with me, hear me out. But to summarize what I mean by that before we get into all of the data and explanations, if you imagine any conflict that you have in your life or that we face as a society, you have to think of it as a zero-sum game. You have to focus on yourself just as much and perhaps even more than you're focusing on your enemy. Like, it's not enough to say, well, they're stupid. They're incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. There's no way they could ever make that work or be successful, because if you're not bringing anything to the table to push back against that, to stand your ground, then it really doesn't matter how foolish you think your enemy is. Eventually, they'll conquer you, because any ground that they have gained is necessarily ground that you have ceded.
So this is like the World War I trench warfare of I really, really want to rub one out right now. That's it. That's the whole thing. Imagine the no man's land of wanting to fap really bad. Oh, the war between not fapping and fapping. Fuck.
It is a zero-sum game. And the reason this ties into pornography is that pornography is literally making us mentally ill. It is making us depressed. It is making us weak. It's making us numb and pacified. It's making us more impulsive and therefore more susceptible to propaganda. And again, we're going to get into all the data behind this in great detail. But the point is that if you had something like that, something that was literally neurochemically breeding mental illness in practically the entire male population, do you think that those men would ever be able to successfully push back against the left, against socialism, against the big government, against anything, let alone feel as though their lives have meaning? No. No, what has happened to our men in the last 15 years is unprecedented throughout the history of the world. We're the guinea pigs. And what we're finding out is that the results of this are
Femboy Gangster, thanks for the 2 or 3 months at tier 2. Thank you very much.
catastrophic for our brains, for our lives, for our society as a whole. And you can laugh at this if you want to, but it doesn't make it any less true. And again, I've got a mountain of data to back this up.
It really makes it less true. First, Soy Sauce, thanks for the follow. Butterfiend, thanks for the prime.
I just want you to ask yourself a question, which is just very simply, am I addicted to pornography? You know, we're going to get into the nature of addiction later, but we know that 98% of men have accessed pornography in the last 6 months, and that 80% of men have accessed it within the last week. Ask yourself this question. When's the last time I went over a month without watching pornography, or even 2 weeks? Your answer doesn't necessarily mean that you're addicted, but, you know, if you were addicted, then the next question would be, okay, is this a bad addiction to have? Am I doing
as a person who doesn't watch a lot of porn, I've done this multiple times in my life. Not a big deal. I'm not really a porn person. It doesn't really do it for me. It's more like in any port in a storm sort of situation, in my opinion. Like if I'm just down bad, right? And there's no outlet for a while, because I can usually wait. You know what I mean? I just wait. I'll wait until someone consents, right? I'm down with that. To be fair, in defense of people who do it more often, I have been fortunate enough to not have any issues finding willing participants in my life. Not that I'm a man-slut, just that I've been in long-term relationships, and I don't know. Just I'm very fortunate in that regard. I've found people that I've connected with. Okay, but porn webcomics. Hey, if you like porn to whatever length you like porn, I don't care. I'm just saying, personally, me, this 2 weeks without fapping challenge is not a big deal to me. For me. Now, without getting off, those are different things. Okay? Now, but that's just because I'm a coomer. That's all. That's all that is. I'm just horny. Sorry. Not really. I'm not really sorry. Sometimes I literally just do it because I'm bored. True, or you could be bored on top of my face. What did he just say?
Damage to myself, or is it exactly the same as people who just like to look at pictures of puppies all the time, which is an actual argument that we'll address later from the pornography addicts. But for now, if you're a young man who watches pornography...
I agree. It's too much commitment. Hey, I actually get it. I do agree that sometimes the rigmarole, what goes into fucking, that's a lot of effort sometimes, you know? It's a lot of effort.
And you just so happen to feel depressed, to feel unmotivated.
Golf Crocs.
Motivated to do things, even things that you used to enjoy. You feel socially anxious. You feel as though you have no control in your life. Maybe you seem to have some form of erectile dysfunction, even if you're very young.
What? Look, ED is not super funny because it usually has to do with, like actual blood flow problems. Antidepressants can cause stuff, ED and things like that. But I got to be honest, I've personally never had a problem not getting boners. Anyone with a penis will tell you if they've never had an ED problem, most of the problem is getting unwarranted boners. As you age, this happens less. But I remember being a teenager and being in math class, and just for no reason, my dick would go, "Hey, so we gonna fuck?" And I'm like, "We're a teenager. We're never fucking. We don't fuck. What are you talking about? We're 14. We're too scared to do that yet." And Dick would be like, "I'm not." Butterfield, thanks for the 100 biddies. Wofford, thanks for following. Yeah, happen all the time. It doesn't happen as much now, but it does happen from time to time, and definitely in the morning thing. And I think that has to do. This is me speculating. I'm not a doctor, All it takes is a cunning breeze. Really, it does. A cunning breeze. I don't know if this is correct, but it feels like when you wake up, because your blood is starting to pump a little bit more, maybe it travels downward quicker, which would explain the morning wood phenomenon. So this honestly goes for anyone with T as their main hormone. Trust me, random boners are felt by trans guys too. Sure, I guess I was talking about AMAB folks as children, really. But yes, it happens in adults as well. Just when you're going through puberty as an AMAB person, it's real weird during that time. But although I suspect, interestingly, now that you bring it up, I hadn't considered this, that's kind of a form of puberty, right? Like isn't that sort of because you're kind of having a massive hormone switch? So it might actually be very similar now that I think about it. Yeah, except just like in puberty. So I wonder you have an adult brain, or at least a brain that's better suited for it than a 7 to 13-year-old though when they're going through that. So maybe you can understand it better. I don't know. You might be fortunate. Random trans guy boners are probably better, in my opinion. You get the fun part of the random trans guy boner. Yeah. Well, otherwise your brain might be a bit. Hey, whatever else is going on is irrelevant to the boner question, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's interesting. Get randomly horny? Oh yeah. As a man with T, big time T, as you could tell by my deep manly voice, and my long locks of hair, which I think is actually low T, isn't it? If you have or is it high T to bald? Yeah, it's high T to bald, right? Anyway, yeah, random horniness is a weird phenomenon, and sometimes it's fleeting. Sometimes it'll be like, I'm horny for 10 minutes, and then it's gone. Oh. Horniness is strange.
Maybe
sometimes it's an all-day affair.
Don't get morning wood anymore. Maybe you've had some encounters with women and you weren't able to keep it up the whole time, or maybe you need to fantasize about pornography or watch it at the same time in order to sustain yourself.
This is actually interesting. It sounds like a first-hand problem. I've never had a problem staying engaged in a sexual encounter with anybody, ever. I don't know. I've never had to think about porn, ever. That's weird.
Sort of vulgar, so I apologize for that, but maybe you're not even interacting with women. Maybe they're not even as appealing to you.
Maybe you're gay. I don't know. maybe you don't like to have sex with women and you're not gay. I don't know. Maybe you're ace. It's nice to know John has priorities straight. Climate change and wealth inequality. Nah. Real problem in society is horny singles in your area. If only link your credit card. True. Actually, that is kind of a problem. That's predatory.
You don't feel very good about yourself. You don't have self-confidence. You have trouble concentrating on things.
I'm ace and I think about sex the whole time I'm having sex. Isn't that weird? Mito, thanks so much for the 4 months. Does he take blood pressure meds? Because that'll cause it. I agree. Wait, is John an incel? I don't know.
You feel numb.
No, he's a volcel.
In everyday life. If any of this sounds like you, I need you to consider that your use of pornography is likely causing, or at the very least amplifying, some of these problems. And we can prove it scientifically, empirically, logically, anecdotally, whichever way you'd like. And I know this is an uncomfortable conversation to have, believe me.
It's not really uncomfortable to have this conversation. Oh, but he's a conservative, so he's like, ooh, we're talking about peepees.
You should see some of the emails I get about this stuff, but this is the most important conversation to be having, because there is no greater threat to the well-being of the country than pornography. Because after a few generations of men experiencing the symptoms that we just listed, the country will collapse. Like, it simply can't survive that. No society has ever faced anything like this before. If you care about this country...
For the record, and I understand, like, to the degree that we have access to it, no country, I mean, other countries have porn. I don't know what he's talking about, but I guess a lot of it's made in the United States. But I mean, has he seen German porn? They get a little bit more hardcore than we tend to. I'm just tossing that out there. The Ender, thanks for the 50 biddies. Addiction's a bad thing. Yes, it is. But like other cultures have been hypersexual, or at least normalized sexuality to the point where you can just do it. Like, I was just about to say this. Mice chase kittens. So I'll just quote you instead. Pompeii had porn on the walls and was destroyed by a volcano. Coincidence? I wasn't going to make the volcano joke, but I was going to mention Pompeii and just the Roman Empire in general had porn all over the place. Porn. Have you ever heard of a herm? You ever heard of a herm? It's a statue with a dick on it. I'm not making that up. Look up herm, H-E-R-M. That meant a lot of different things, but they had brothels. It was normalized to have sex with people of the same sex and gender. It was normalized to have multiple partners. It was normalized to have a marriage where, sure, maybe you would procreate and have sex. Maybe you'd even like each other a lot, but also you'd have side pieces and lovers. If the fucking Bible had concubines, I don't know what he's talking about. Like, fucking has always been a thing in American culture and human culture throughout. The Kama Sutra, hello? Like, wild. Have you seen Japanese porn from the ancient times? These guys were fucking in all sorts of acrobatic ways. They were getting bored of the normal fucking. They're like, hey, let me add fucking challenges to this. It was like was it Angry Birds? They had to try to get 3 stars at different trapeze movements on fucking each other, and they would rate each other at the end. It was nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Then you have to be disciplined. What do we always say? A disciplined mind is an effective mind. Aristotle said, I count him braver who overcomes his desires than him who conquers his enemies, for the hardest victory is over self. He also said, we are what we repeatedly do. And pornography is an attack on man, and by extension, an attack on the
You know what's interesting? He totally fucked.
family, and by extension, an attack on the society. And if we don't reverse course soon, our civilization simply will not survive. Like, we will be conquered by our enemies. Men who came before you didn't live like this, and you were never supposed to, because
What are you men who lived before you didn't? What are you talking about? These people? What? Was this Bugsy Malone? Was what? Al Capone? Who are you talking about? G-men in general? I wear trench coats and talk with a transatlantic voice. Like, what are you talking about? These guys fucked. They all fucked. How in the world do you think they didn't fuck? Did you know that these guys are pretty much who invented porn in the way that you consume it now? With the moving pictures? Like, what?
pornography literally causes all of these problems. And we know this because of what we can prove that it does to your neurochemistry and because of what we can prove that it does to your being. Like, just because it's hard to conduct an experiment with the proper controls, because of how widespread this issue is and how inherently private it is, doesn't mean that you get to be like, no, this has been debunked. Sex positive psychologist told me so. No. And even that aside, the studies that we do have that explore this with the proper methodology all align with our position. So your opinion is invalid. Coom brain, 1,000% increase in erectile dysfunction in the last 15 years.
That's 10 times the number of erectile dysfunctions.
I wonder why that could be. What's changed?
What's changed in the last 10 years? What? In 2011, I could get porn still. What are you talking about, bro? I don't understand. This is... Do you know what it probably is? Do you know what a lot of it is? Depression. I guarantee you it's depression. And what he's going to do, and I'm calling this now, what he's going to say is something like, yes, see? You could see high numbers of people who are self-reported as depressed or clinically depressed use porn a lot. Interesting. You know why that might be? So depression, first of all, is a real thing that happens. It is both a biological thing that you experience just chemically in your brain, sometimes very naturally, and then obviously there are real life things that can happen to you that trigger that and make it worse. So financial distress is chief among them. In the last decade, do we think that financial distress has increased or decreased in America? Strange. Do we also think that antidepressants are well-known dick They render dick pretty sensationless over time. You may hear people report if they're on antidepressants that they can't get off very easy doing things. It happens. It's definitely a thing. He hyped us up so much that it was going to be a feature skits. I don't know if he's going to do skits. I don't know. American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, Therapists disagree with John. Shocking, I know. Surprise. I I don't even know. Position and sex edition? No. But Jake, they are having so much sex, it's causing them to lose more money. They could just work harder. True.
It's a real head scratcher, isn't it?
Yeah, SSRIs make your weenor go
Just
night-night.
porn addicts that are going to make pathetic response videos to this are going to be like, source, study, shut up, addict. You sacrifice the privilege of sympathy when you start rationalizing and trying to normalize your addiction throughout society so as to prevent yourself from realizing how weak you actually are. And that's the thing. They'll say, pornography addiction isn't real unless you're watching it at work or in public. Things like that, because they need to obfuscate symptoms of extreme addiction as just addiction in order to normalize their perversion throughout society. But to those who aren't coping, to those who don't think they're addicted, or to those who just aren't sure, here's my challenge to you.
Okay.
Detox for 60 days. And if you're not addicted,
Detox for 60 days? So just don't engage in porn for 60 days. Can I fuck? Because, or mutually get off? Can I just wait? Can I fap with no porn? Interesting. So I mean I don't really know. I don't think you need to be blue balled, right? I don't know. So for those of you that don't have balls, this may be a shock to you. But those of us with balls, we do in fact feel every day a sort of increasing. How do we even describe it? It's kind of similar to like a craving of like an intense craving of something you really want. It could be food, could be anything. But it almost becomes like intrusive. I don't know how to really describe it. Because they quite literally have a finite space within them. The balls, that is, the gonads. And it's not just like normal horny where something turns you on. It's more like it's almost just a seek for relief. And I don't really know how to describe it better. Can anyone describe that better? Must dump the vats. Something like that. It's literally just a biological thing that people who are born with nuts go through. It's go through. It's not a fucking tragedy, okay? It is quite literally like when you have to poop real bad. No, it's not painful in that way. It just needs to go. It needs to go. You got the coom in you, and it's gotta not be there. It's a mental urge. It's not like holding pee in that it's like painful and you gotta do the pee-pee dance. It's not as urgent as that, but it's frustrating. But not in an aggressive way. I don't know how to describe it because I don't want it to sound like I just gotta come, like that. It probably feels very similar to a cigarette pang, without the mood swings. We are, and it's called being horny. Yeah, but it's different than being horny because it's not triggered by a thing, right? Sometimes, because people without balls feel horny, and it's not about this. It's a different sensation than I want to fuck, because I don't even necessarily have to want that to want. You know what I'm saying? To not to have that urge, and it's just a biological predisposition. So it's yeah. I don't know how to describe it really, other than probably a sort of thing. And John Doyle will go, aha, a cigarette like an addiction. Not to porn though. It's not about porn. It's about just. And here's the thing: at a certain point, like fapping isn't a viable option because it's not necessarily about that. I think it's also the biological process of going through and having someone else engage with that and making it happen. Does that make sense? It's definitely a horn haze. You can mitigate it, of course. Talking about like intimacy, yeah, of course. There's an aspect of intimacy in it at a certain point. But yeah, can't confirm the urge to splurge is like wanting a cigarette. There you go. It's an itch that doesn't get better by ignoring it. Yeah. And I'm not trying to, for the record, if you are the partner of someone who has balls and they're like, oh, I really need it. They're probably miscommunicating that. It's not that urgent. They're not going to die. But it is a fantastic thing for you to be like, you know what? I will do that for you. Because I can't explain it. I cannot explain it. It's not like, I don't know, I could talk about balls forever. It's not like urgent, I'm going to die stuff. It's just like, it's incredibly relieving after the fact in a more than sexual way that I can't describe. Does that make sense? I think those of you who have balls understand this. Thank you for coming to my ball talk. Thank you. Don't let people guilt you though. That's not like don't feel guilty if you don't want to. You're valid in not wanting to. There are times that Sarah and I definitely don't cross over in that for sure. And other partners that I've had, we don't cross over, and that's fine. Shit, I've not wanted to when my partner has before, and it's fine. Yeah. So yeah. Love your faces. Did I get your last message? I don't know. Unlike so many actual drugs cannot, will not, and does not bring chemicals, and I don't know. Yeah.
Shouldn't be a problem, right?
I suppose.
And if you don't notice any significant improvement,
you don't have to have a chemical addiction for it to be an addiction.
In your life, send me an email. Tell me I'm wrong. I'll send you a picture of myself eating my shorts, my pants. It's winter in Michigan. I'm not wearing shorts. Let's be realistic here. Seriously, why not quit?
I wear shorts.
What do you have to lose? Worst case scenario, you just miss out on 2 months of doing something you like. Wish it were that simple. Unfortunately, it's not. What we're going to be talking about here is incredibly important. We're going to be very thorough, so please listen all the way through. We're going to go through the history and evolution of this problem, the brain chemistry behind the addiction, the negative effects of that addiction on you as it pertains to your mental health, your sexual health, etc. And then we'll get into the negative effects that it has on society as it pertains to the family structure, women, etc. And then we'll debunk some of the most popular things claimed by the people who think that pornography is harmless or even healthy. We'll go over some of the ways that you can quit, and then we'll answer some of the most popular questions that you guys had from last time, because history suggests that we'll bounce back from the current trends in society. History suggests that eventually the hard times will create the strong men, right? Maybe, but the huge difference now is that everyone is pacified, everyone is totally numb. Like, how do you prevent hard times from breeding strong men?
Hard times.
Distract them with pornography, drugs, mass media, consumerism, etc. And it's a huge problem. And if you end up resonating with what we talk about here, I implore you to share this video with every man in your life that you care about, regardless of their age, because it is incredibly important.
I forget how he talks about gender differently.
It is imperative.
Okay. While that's happening, let me read Flever's message. As a demi-AMAB, I can explain this very well. The ball explainer has logged on. Let's see, Flever. Sir Ron, thanks for following. You did put a lot of effort into this, though, so I imagine you're probably on in the ballpark, at least, of what we all experience. The sensation is very similar to a recognition of, I need to eat, poop, sleep, pee, etc. Sleep is probably pretty close to it, yeah. But with that area of your body instead. I don't get any of the horny that can come from it, but it has to get out of my body, and my body recognizes that it should probably come out of me, so I do so, and it's not like really a fun time thing. It's more of like a body maintenance thing, and so it's relief I feel, not sort of like, hell yeah. I agree with you. Yes, it does feel a lot more like, I think it's akin to being hungry and sleepy in that, like, pooping and like when you gotta take a shit or you gotta piss, like there's that sort of like really uncomfortable dance pain thing that happens. It's not as intense as that, but sleeping, like being really sleepy or being pretty hungry, not starving, like you just feel hunger. Like, yeah, I agree with that. And there's sort of like it's not like oh fuck yeah. It's a relief. It's just, it does have a very similar feeling to after a shit or a pee, and not in a gross way. I mean, like that sort of like, now I can breathe sort of thing. Like, I do agree with that. When it sounds very dramatic, but I'm not trying to be dramatic. It is that way. It just do be that way. Sir Ross, thanks for following. Trick Java, thanks for the 95 biddies. Yes, the great asexual replacement theory by John Doyle. Aces, you will be our kings, queens, and everything in between. True. Coctimus Prime. It's mind clear. Oh, yeah, mind clear. Cum brain is a real thing. Yeah. That's real. Good job, Clever.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Heck Off Commie. It's officially the most wonderful time of the year. That time of year, the time of the year where I yell at the audience about porn. Love to see it. We knew it was coming. And the idea behind it, for those unfamiliar, is basically that there's this meme called No Nut November that we just got done with a couple months ago. A little late. And the challenge is basically to go the entire month of November without masturbating, which means that a lot of guys see if they can make it a month without watching pornography. And then they almost invariably fail.
Without masturbating, you can fuck though. Hey, sorry I'm late. What have I missed? Oh boy, Bolter Dash talking about balls.
Dismiss it as a stupid internet challenge and then go about their business. And so I'm here.
But here's the thing, and I don't mean to erase, the those of us without balls in chat here. But John Doyle is not talking about that. In fact, he will call them women, of course. But anyone with the vagina is going to be erased here. He will not be bringing that up. But it is important to note that those among us without the balls, okay, those among us without them, still like a porn or two. You know what I'm saying? So explain that. like explain the fact that women, as he will. If he brings it up, that's how he's going to address the issue. But usually AFAB people, but anyone with a vagina, that is your primary FAP organ. That people like that. So I don't know how he can like really be against the entire thing. Yeah, I don't know. Do you know any cismen that take No Nut November seriously? I've never. No. I think it's in incel or volcel places where they take that seriously. It's usually a joke. Usually in my circles, it's a joke either A, that it's a race to have sex with your partner and fail No Nut November as sort of a joke. If you even talk about it, like this November, we didn't even fucking talk. Who gives a shit? We don't talk about this stuff. Or it's a situation where those people in the social group who aren't having sex win No Nut November easily. That's the only time it's ever come up in my circles. Like we have a friend who's married, and he sometimes will say like, sex, what's that? And other times it'll be like, oops, failed No Nut November already. It's 12:30 a.m. November 1st. Oh, rough one. I'm gonna have to reset. Like stuff like that. It's really stupid. It's really not even a thing. I have balls, but I am non-binary. So do I count? You count to me. You're not gonna count to John Doyle, of course.
Trying to kind of capitalize on some of that momentum, so to speak, along with the fact that it's the new year. People are thinking of resolutions. We're over a month into the resolutions, whatever. I'm trying to explain why you should stop watching pornography. I made one of these about a year ago, but I intentionally didn't watch it before making this to avoid repeating myself as much as possible, because I want this video to be the best articulation of my position now, just like that video was the best articulation of my position then. That being said, I would highly recommend going back and watching the video from last year as well. I'll put a link to it in the description because tons of people found that video to be extraordinarily helpful and eye-opening.
Again, Flever, I don't really watch a lot of porn, so I've never watched what you're talking about.
And that's actually, what I kind of wanted to start out with. Like, firstly, my reasons for being against pornography have nothing to do with my religious beliefs. I was actually against pornography, believe it or not, before I really came into the faith. And I've learned that that's essentially the case with the vast majority of people who try to quit doing this stuff.
He came into the faith. So is John going to say that his family isn't Christian? Because that's fascinating. Before he came into the faith. Get it? By the way, there were some people, and we're deep enough into the video at this point. There were some people that were like, "Hey, what do you think John's favorite porn is?" Because he definitely watches porn. And there is one correct answer. Okay, there is one correct answer for the type of porn that John Doyle would watch. Some of you speculated that it would be like cuckoldry, that it would be interracial because he's kind of a racist. It would be like gay porn, haha. Really, what it's going to be, and this is true. I know you know exactly what it's going to be. Not BBC, not CBT, not scat, not feet. No. Not pegging. Guys, you're not thinking about this from a pragmatic point of view. Not incest. Nope. Not nuns. No, you guys are wrong. John Doyle likes the kind of porn where it finishes missionary and it's always, always a cream pie. Always. For procreation. Because there's nothing that turns him on. Nothing that turns him on more than two people making a fucking family, okay? Especially if they're white. A white family? Whoo! Did somebody say breeder over here? Look at those childbearing hips. Boy, he likes that shit. Hell yeah. Not for the reason that you're validly liking that, for the record. Okay, there's some of you in here who might be like, but that's my thing. No. But you don't like it, hopefully, because they're making white babies, okay? You like it because, ooh, it just gives you that ooh feeling. That's fine. People like this always talk about coming to the faith, and that means it's their confirmation. Oof. All right. Last bit purchase for now. Well, don't let me stop you, trick job from the biddies. But on a slightly serious note, I'm studying to be certified to teach in public schools, and it actually fascinates me that I have the distinct possibility of meeting and teaching children/teens of conservative figures like John Doyle as I grow older. Perhaps that's a weird thought, but it's just intriguing to think we'll get to witness the actual consequences of the absolutely abused beliefs in our future. I feel pity for Doyle's kids. Yeah, as a former person who did do teaching, it can be shitty sometimes. Big problem. Mitchell Drummer, did you get the Stream Boss? Holy shit, look at that Stream Boss. I'll be changing that in the future.
The biggest online community that's related to this stuff did a survey on this and found that only 20% of people said that part of the reason that they were doing this, as far as like quitting it, was for their religion. Like the vast majority of people who are trying to quit are just trying to quit because they're tired of being controlled and weighed down by it. And when I posted a video on this last year, I expected everyone to just get mad at me, but it turns out that almost everyone was on board with what we were saying. And I can't prove this, but I have it on good authority that we were the catalyst for the pornography debate that happened online about a year ago within the right, because we made a video, and then coincidentally, some bigger conservatives made some videos. People started talking about it. All good stuff. It's an important conversation to have, and we have to assert it into the mainstream dialogue because it's a cancer to our civilization. And I'll tell you that since I posted that video a year ago, I've received hundreds of messages, emails, letters from people literally all over the world. Fun fact, we actually have people watching this channel in literally almost every country in the world. There's only a handful that we're not reaching. That's your North Koreas, your Sudans, etc. I just think that's pretty cool. But
that's just everybody on the internet, John. That's okay though. Who is this? Exactly, Killed by Magikarp. It's John Doyle. It's in the description.
Yeah, I've gotten all of these responses from people. I've had people come up to me at events with tears in their eyes talking to me about how this issue has affected them.
Dude, you gotta be down pretty fucking bad to go to a convention and see John Doyle, get tears in your eyes, and walk up to him and be like, "You're the only thing that's kept me from touching my dick." I'm just so fucking horny, dude. I'm just so fucking horny, bro. But you, John, you keep me from nutting. And I gotta thank you, dude. You don't touch that person's hand. I don't think they washed it. That's probably not ideal. You shouldn't do that. Shouldn't do it.
And there's a few reasons that I say this. Firstly, because it's indicative that we're heading in the right direction, that we've identified a serious problem and we're helping people solve it. That it's obviously very important, despite the fact that it receives practically no attention. And secondly, so that if you're struggling with this, which frankly you probably are, you know that you're not alone and that there's no shame in this at all. A lot of times people on the right have this attitude of, well, you're on your own, bucko. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Your problems aren't my problems, snowflake. Sure, there's truth to that. Ultimately, you're responsible for yourself. But that aside, there's nothing conservative about not caring about people or not helping them.
I feel like that's actually the most normal conservative thing you guys do, is just not give a shit about them. But I'm glad that you do care, John. I'm just not glad you don't understand why you should care. So there's definitely a reason why the incel, volcel, anti-coomer, anti-porn base is within the conservatives. And it's not why you might think. It's not because they have these very strict belief systems. It's not because they're just staunch patriots who refuse to let their cummies out. Really, it's because nobody wants to fuck a conservative, and so they're lonely. Nobody wants to fuck a conservative. Conservatives are trash. Okay? Maybe don't be trash. You used to not be so trashy. You used to be like, just kind of like neolibs, which is like, okay, you know what? Any port in a storm, maybe we can make this work. I'm not very political, sure. But then you started to be like, you know what we should do? We should We should believe in Jewish space lasers. We should follow a cult of personality in Donald Trump, and we should avoid facts at all costs. And you started to do this stuff, and there's been layers of that within the conservative movement forever. Conservatism in general is just stupid. But yeah, really, nobody wants to fuck you. That's pretty much the whole thing. It's the whole thing. Nobody wants to have sex with you, John Doyle, except other conservatives, in which case you're going to have really, really bad sex, which is fine. That's fine. Texas not giving a shit about having a stable power supply is a glaring counterpoint against conservatives not caring what people agreed.
Conservatism, properly defined, is that which conserves the traditional American society, and that actually requires helping and caring about your neighbors, your family, your community, etc. So I will reiterate that there's no shame in pornography addiction, especially considering that what it is quite literally a hijacking of your biological wiring as a man in order to neuroplastically rewire your brain into addiction, all for their profit.
See, I told you he was going to avoid people with vajayjays.
And ultimately for the destruction.
When he says man, he doesn't mean any of you. He means people with peepees.
Our society. The people running things have hijacked and exploited our biological drives to pursue food and sex to where we're now fat and addicted to pornography, and that's made us weak. They've made a lot of money doing that. And as we'll get into, the reasons that drugs such as methamphetamine and heroin are so powerfully addictive is that they hijack the precise mechanisms that are designed to regulate sex in the reward center of our brain. In other words, the reason that drugs are so addicting is because they hijack the mechanisms in your brain that are used to regulate sexual desire and co-opt them to compel you to crave more of that particular drug. So technically speaking, on a biological level, drugs are addictive because they exploit your sex drive, so to speak. So you can understand the cognitive implications of this, pornography.
Well, okay. Only insofar as sex makes like your good yum feelings go off with your hormones, right? Like that's not really what's happening. You're not getting like while I may be more prone to express my horniness while high, like let's be honest. I think if you're high, everyone becomes a shooter at that point. Everyone's shooting shots, okay, when they're high. All right? Or you're drunk or whatever. Once your inhibitions go down a little bit and you're just like, you know what? I could really go for some fuck. Or I could go for, hey, you want to make out? Or I could go for some fucking pickled pizza. You know, whatever's making you feel like you want something real bad, you know? Argonian Bun, thanks so much for the 7 months, dude. Phosphophylline, thanks for the 17 months. Like whatever you got going on, right? But it gives you pleasure, sure, but not in the same way. Like maybe I have heard things like heroin are basically like full body orgasm type stuff, which is why it's so dangerous because of the way that it attaches to the pleasure receptors in your body. But it's not like you get the big nut from doing drugs. It's more of just things like serotonin and stuff like fill your fucking body. I don't really know how to describe this in any other way. Yes, it feels good. Not everything that feels good is sex. Back scratches are amazing to me. I love a fucking back scratch, dude. It has nothing to do with me orgasming. A really good back scratch, I'm sure, could give me a boner just because it feels so damn good. I might not even be horny. It just might happen. I don't know. It probably could happen. It's probably happened. That's how much I love a back scratch. In the same way that I don't know, Sarah likes a back rub. I've had partners that like feet rubs. I've had I've had just friends that I'm not sexual with that really enjoy just like cuddling, and that makes them go. Although I wasn't cuddling with them, but but some people that really gets them going. It's more of like an intimacy thing that really strikes their serotonin shit. And so yeah, I don't know. I just think things are different for everybody. I don't know why. Jake is into tickle play. No, I'm not. Do not tickle me. I will elbow you in your teeth. Not on purpose either. It'll just I will literally just hurt you on accident. I don't want to. Platonic cuddling needs to be appropriated. I mean, I'll platonically cuddle with lots of people, but I don't usually like cuddling with other dudes, unless you're cuddly. Like I had my boy Richie. We'd hug a lot. We'd hug every day at work when we worked together, and we'd hug every time we see each other, just because we're very good friends and we're both affectionate in that way. And then there's some friends I don't hug. I don't know. Would you hug me? Probably. I hug most people. I'm a good hugger, dude. I'm a good hugger.
as something that will also exploit your sex drive more understandably, because it exists as something that is an unnaturally exaggerated version of something that you are programmed to find irresistible. These are called supernormal stimuli, which comes from a
Guaranteed John's fantasized about fucking a cold cut sub at one point.
biologist, Nicholas Timbergen, who was also a Nobel laureate, and then it is made available to you conveniently and in limitless supply, something that you would never find in nature. There is abundant novelty to what types you can access, and this all causes us to chronically overconsume and resultantly reconfigure our brains to try their best to adapt to this as we become addicted. Drugs are dangerous.
Drugs are like heroin or stimulants which target dopamine. They don't target serotonin or whatever, dopamine. You know what I'm saying? I just meant the feel good stuff. And either way, whatever's going on, there's lots of feel good hormones in your body. So whatever's going on.
Because they exploit the mechanisms in your brain that exist to regulate your sex drive, and this is incredibly addicting. And then the same thing happens when you have pornography in the way that we do now. It does practically the same thing to your brain. And we'll go through this step by step, but this is why even heroin addicts will tell you that shooting up feels like an orgasm when you talk to one, I don't know your circle. And this is also why the brain scans of drug addicts are very similar to the brain scans of pornography users, but not addicts. That's what they'll say. But the truth is that
You could be addicted to porn for sure. So usually addiction is something that we consider that you have to do habitually on a very regular basis, and that you feel uncomfortable if you're not doing it and you feel compelled to do so. So sure, you can absolutely be addicted to porn, but claiming that porn addiction is the downfall to Western society is weird. Well, he's not worried about porn addiction, okay? Although he is framing it like this. What he's seeing isn't porn addiction. It's normalization of like sexuality, masturbation, porn usage in general. Like it's just the normalizing of all of this. By the way, make sure to keep up on the degen counter, because I definitely missed it if he has. Heroin's an opioid. Yeah, that's what I thought. But from a psychological basis, you can literally be addicted to anything that induces serotonin releases in your brain. This argument is fucking stupid. Yeah, I agree. That's absolutely.
Are basically two types of pornography users: those who will become addicted and those who already are addicted. And then within the latter category, you have those who know they're addicted and those who don't know or perhaps refuse to accept that they're addicted. And we'll get into that, the neurochemistry behind that shortly, to explain kind of what's going on in your brain. But I say this now to really just emphasize that there's no shame in pornography addiction, because your brain is just simply not capable of handling that level of stimuli. Now, that being said, there is great shame in evangelically pretending that it doesn't exist. The so-called experts, the sex positive experts. These are people who say things like, this claim has been debunked. This study says otherwise. And we'll address the most popular arguments from these people at the end. And by the way, I have anecdotes that can be corroborated thousands of times over online from people who have experienced this stuff. But I also have lots of data to back up what we're talking about here. But for now, what I'll say is this: I don't listen to degenerates. I just don't. And the reason for that...
There it is! Hey! He just said degenerate. Hopefully you're keeping up on this, but that's a degen. That's a degen right there. We gotta update that one right there. Did he say two? That was one, wasn't it? Number one degen. Not too shabby. There was two? Hold on. Whoa. When did he say it? Back to back? Back to back degeneracy? If I go back to here.
Debunked. This study says otherwise, and we'll address the most popular arguments from these people at the end. And by the way, I have anecdotes that can be corroborated thousands of times over online from people who have experienced this stuff. But I also have lots of data to back up what we're talking about here. But for now, what I'll say is this: I don't listen to degenerates. I just don't. And the reason for that is very simple. And it's that as human beings in the pursuit of virtue and truth, we can only reach the truth if we conquer and have total control over our desires. Otherwise, we will view everything through the lens of our desires, since we do not have control over them, but rather they have control over us. And given that sexual desire is the most powerful desire that we have as human beings, I refuse to listen to degenerate people argue in favor of degenerate things.
Wow. Okay, so we're at 3. Degenerate people, degenerate things. Alrighty. Alright, that's 2 more. That's 3 total. If you smash that over, you might win. We might have to do a secondary bet if the over gets smashed. We might have to go again. Like, oh my goodness.
Because what is very likely happening is that they have a proclivity towards whatever aids in or alleviates the guilt from that desire, and that ultimately distorts the truth. You wouldn't listen to a heroin addict talk about why heroin isn't actually a bad thing. You shouldn't listen to a porn addict argue the same. Their minds are corrupted by their desires, and they are...
What if it's an ex-heroin addict?
rationalizing it. This is the part where the irrelevant streamer pauses the video and says, is John Doyle really comparing heroin addiction to pornography addiction? All the only couple thousand viewers watched me pretend to stare blankly at the screen before looking at the camera like Jim from The Office. No, I'm not actually comparing the effects of heroin to the effects of pornography.
Oh, Was he sassing me there? Was he sassing me? Because I do a lot of John Doyle videos, and I think he was sassing me a little bit. I think he sassed me. Don't sass me, John. He better. I think he is talking about you. Had to give him one. Had to give him one. Oh, God. Oh, I got a hair in my eye. Okay, we got to scoop it a bit. All right. Rublum, did I miss those biddies? No, I didn't. Jungle Boy Dotka, thanks so much for the 2 months. Yeah, he's definitely sassing me. And I'm sure there are other people that do his videos as well, but I don't know if there's anyone that does more John Doyle videos. All my fellow degenerates in chat are valid, and I love you. Thanks, Title Bell. As an ex-heroin addict, I gotta say, it's not that great. Well, I'm glad that you're no longer dealing with, well, you're probably still dealing with addiction, but you're not dealing with it today, right? You're not using it today, so that's good. Appreciate you one day at a time, and I'm very happy for you. Not a degenerate, I'm just big boned.
The effects of pornography have far worse implications
Plausibly reliable. Thanks for
on our society. We'll get into that. But even that in itself proves my point, because there's this subculture of these really gross and vulgar leftists who exist online to let me live in their head rent-free. They do these group...
Wait, let me live... Wait. Godless Spartan, thank you so much. I think I live in his head rent-free, personally. He blocked me on Twitter after we... before he got banned. He blocked me on Twitter for beating him in a debate.
Therapy sessions where the fattest and the grossest one tries to bully me, which is...
He's definitely talking about me, dude. He's definitely talking about me right now, right? He's so fucking mad, bro. That's definitely me, okay? He's definitely talking about me. Sorry, dude. Vosh isn't even a fatty, though.
Which is impossible, by the way, because you can't bully me. You just can't. I'm too epic. You're an addict. You're literally an addict who's coping. And they're so corrupted by their desires that they simply can't imagine living without that occupying their consciousness, because they're a slave. And so they'll say stuff because I'm a proponent of sexual morality. I detest hookup culture. And so they'll say, John Doyle's just mad because girls don't like him. He needs to get laid. And you look at these guys like, really? You and I go out to a bar or something, you think girls are going to be coming up to me like, oh my God, who's your friend over there? No, you're coping. Like,
I don't know, dude. I think he vastly underestimates how much people like me get attention, so to speak, because of our personalities, and not because of yeah. Anyway, I've been hit on a few times. It's fine. I think this whole video is aimed directly. I hope not. But he's definitely aiming this part, it seems, at me. As far as the porn thing, again, because he's like, you're coper. I'm not a coper. I don't really have the inclination towards porn usage. I'm not a big porn enjoyer. But whatever. Not a big thing. His argument here turned into, you're a fatty, and I can definitely have the sexy times if I want them. I just don't want them, I just don't want them. My sexy times go to a different school. You wouldn't know them. Don't feel bad. Tasty Noodle, thanks for following. He's just so stupid. You're just a fatty. I could totally have sex if I wanted. Hey, man, I've never had a problem either. I don't know, but, I feel like they'd talk to let's say we go hang out. I would hang out at a bar with John Doyle. Let's say we're in a situation, okay, and we have the freedom to just pork freely, okay? I gotta be honest. I don't think after a short conversation you're picking John Doyle over anybody. And I'm just talking about me. Anybody. I don't think John is a very personable fella.
maybe, man to man, maybe you're picking up girls that are like high threes at best. You think you're winning somehow. Actually, I kind of feel bad for these guys because it's like, it's one thing if you're a good looking guy, you're charismatic, you decide to exploit that to go hook up with a bunch of attractive girls. I still think that's wrong, but like, I can understand that. Whereas these guys are hooking up with like these gross, overweight, feminist types, and it's like, it can't be because you think they're hot. So it's just because you are so addicted to lust that you are willing to resort to hooking up with girls that look like defective Pokemon to fulfill that desire. I just can't respect that. You have no self-control. That's why you're fat. That's why you hook up with gross women. You have group therapy sessions during which you and your other degenerates all get together.
Oh, there's a fourth degenerate. There's a fourth degen. Smash that over. Okay, if he hits 6, we'll do a new one. But the prediction is in.
Together and try to bully me because it makes you feel less guilty about your behavior and lifestyle, and it makes you feel less threatened by me and the boys. So don't care, didn't ask. Plus, you're an addict. You don't like me. You don't like my audience. You don't like America. You don't like Jesus because we're all epic and you're not, and you're insecure about it. But it's okay. We're going to try to help you out too, because at the end,
you don't like me, the boys, or Jesus. Dude, I think this guy's super fucking mad. I think he's really mad, bro. I didn't expect this. He's not naming names, but let's be real. Is he naming names or is come on. I feel like, look, you guys feel like this is about me a little bit too, right? And probably some other people for sure, but I don't think it's just me, but like definitely he's mad at me, right? Yeah, okay. All right. He mentioned fat like 4 separate times, and I know I make him mad. So anyway, oh boy. All right. Degenerate counseling group. You're all coping, chat. You're all coping because we fuck.
the end of the day, we still care about you. So let's jump into it. We have data, but keep in mind this problem is becoming so accelerated and widespread that we're not going to be able to wait a few decades to decide that it's terrible in the way that we did with cigarettes. We have to actually act quickly. And so, one of the first things we mentioned was that 98% of men have access to pornography within the last 6 months, 80% just within the last week. For reference, that means that statistically 4 out of the last 5 guys that you've spoken to are watching pornography at least once a week. That's where we're at now, roughly speaking.
Is that bad? I don't care about that. Watch porn if you guys want, guys.
Let's talk about where we used to be like a decade ago. We're focusing on guys younger than 30, by the way, since our brains have been the most harmed by this since they caught us when our brains were the most plastic. So in 2008, the percentage of boys who had been exposed to pornography before they were 13 was 14.4%. In 2011, it jumped to 48.7%. In 2017, there was a study done on people ages 15 to 29 that found that 69% of males had been exposed to pornography.
Nice. Do you know why that is, John? Do you know why? I hopefully he understands why. It's these. It's the phones. That's it. That's the reason. And they join social media and you might see titties or something or a dick. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Yep. It's just becoming normalized. There's more information out there. It's not surprising that people would follow sexual behavior. If I was 11 years old and I had a fucking tablet or a phone, you better believe I'm trying to look at some titties, okay? You better fucking believe it, boy.
Age 13 or younger, and also that virtually all of...
Actually, let's talk about this for a second. I was going to avoid it just to keep going, but this is actually interesting. There's a reason as well, by the way. It's not just like ooh, boobies, touch wiener, boners. Do you know what a lot of it was? At least for me and for definitely people that I've talked to, curiosity. It's curiosity. We are, sex comes up a lot. Sex is a very big part of culture in general, in any culture. I remember specifically the first time I looked up real porn, and you're looking at like boop, 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 sort of pictures going up if you're roughly my age as they slowly load on your Net Zero 3-month trial CD on your Dell family computer. Yeah, I mean, there's just some things that you don't know about. I remember when I started being very interested in girls and getting reciprocity, I guess, would be the case. Like people showing interest in me showing interest in them and stuff like that. And then I thought, boy, I should probably know what I'm doing if I'm about to do something. You know what I mean? I don't want to go in there. And part of this is like a peer pressure thing, or not really peer pressure, peer review. I don't want to go into my small ass high school. I don't want to have sex with somebody or whatever we do and have it be a bad experience and have everybody know I'm bad at that shit, okay? I want to be known. I want to be remembered fondly even after we break up, okay? God damn it. This is my goal, all right? And damn it if I haven't been trying my whole life towards this, okay? It's my Sisyphean feat, okay? To try to make sure that people have a good time. And you know, you might not always agree, but hopefully you can. Hopefully you can. You can get there. And I remember the first really sexually explicit thing I looked up, and this is not a lie, was cunnilingus. First off, I didn't know what the word meant, and I found out what it meant, and I was like, oh, and then I thought maybe I should know how to do that, because it seems important. And so not only was there porn about it, there was educational porn. I don't remember what the fuck I watched, but because it was more at that point, it wasn't really. I don't think Pornhub was a thing. It was like samples, right? And it was like sketchy, unless you wanted to pay for it. But I wasn't an adult. I didn't have money for that shit. So and then I would look up like actual sexual. It was like a form of sexual education that I wasn't getting at school. That happened to be good. Jake learned how to eat the box in the very beginning. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it's a thing that I started out of curiosity, not out of horniness. So, and I feel like a lot of people end up at porn out of more curiosity than horniness. And then eventually you find out what your horniness is, how it manifests, what you like, and stuff like that. And then it breeds into, less curiosity and more just an expression of your sexuality, right? I feel like that's pretty normal. Actually, Base, thanks, man. Thanks for the 4 months. Real talk, I learned so much from educational porn as a teen, and so much it should have been taught in school. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to... I'm not saying I'm a sex god. I am saying, however, that just being understanding to some degree, at least the basics, definitely helped my initial experiences in a healthy way. I didn't have unhealthy expectations. Now, that could be a problem. I think we should talk about that as a society around sex, like the kinds of things that are on offer sexually on porn nowadays are not things that everybody is down with, right? Evotion, thanks so much for the 19 months. Can't sleep? That's okay. We'll take care of you. And so there are things about consent, especially how much porn is like the most male gazy thing possible. It's not really super focused on everybody enjoying themselves equally, let's say. And some people are into that. That's fine. Some people, that's where you get your pleasure from. That's absolutely fine and great. But yeah, it's how'd you stop watching the video? John Doyle absolutely owned your perspective. Wait, what? What? John Doyle did not own any perspectives. He is a sad baby. He's a sad blue ball baby.
By this point, had viewed pornography at some point. So the average age at which boys are exposed to pornography is decreasing each year, but it's widely regarded to be 11 years old, which means that if we assume a normal distribution, 50% of boys are exposed to pornography when or before they are 11 years old. To help you realize how utterly insane and dangerous that is, here is a stock photo of an 11-year-old boy. Another thing to note is that of online...
Yeah, an 11-year-old boy. Do you remember being an 11-year-old boy? Hey, any former or current 11-year-old boys in chat? Hopefully no current ones. Any former 11-year-old boys in chat? You remember how fucking weird being an 11-year-old boy is, right? Even if you were, as we like to say on this channel, under deep cover, and you weren't actually a boy, but people thought you were. Do you remember how fucking weird that was? Being 11 years old is a weird time, dude. Because look at this kid. Obviously, you're not developed enough to actually engage in sexual things. However, and there's very few people, even in your own age group, especially in your own age group, that find this guy attractive, right? Other 11-year-old girls are not like swooning over this fella. And I'm not saying he's a bad-looking kid. He's just 11 years old. 11-year-old boys are weird. We're so weirdly developed, right? Like he's got like long hair. He's trying to be cool. But he's got like, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't work out. Anyway, 11-year-old boys, we're very strange. Okay. No one has sexual desire for us except for predators, and so that's not really a thing. But we have sexual desire for fucking breezes. Like, ooh, breeze. Oh, God, my boner. Like, it's so stupid. 11-year-old boys, as a former one myself, totally unable to handle, like, how sexual feelings feel. And I'm going to be honest, if I didn't have porn as a sort of way to understand this better, I would have gotten no education on sex, really. I would have gotten very limited sexual education on, like, masturbation. That's all I remember from my sex ed class. Like, it's okay to, like, masturbate. Just, try not to, make sure you're alone. Yeah, I don't know. It was a really awkward conversation. Specifically, I remember the question being asked, what happens if you just pinch off the top? Is it going to hurt? If you ejaculate and you pinch the top off. The teacher laughed, and at the time I didn't understand why, and now I very much do. He laughed and goes, well, I don't think you can, but if you try, yeah, that'd probably hurt. My sex ed class is like, you can't pee with a boner, and we are skipping female anatomy? Oh, you can pee with a boner. Oh, yeah, you can. You just gotta try. Yeah, I think porn is pretty helpful in that way. I also think it can be damaging. Again, like I don't want this kid, or me as 11 years old, or you as 11 years old, or any future 11-year-old to really experience porn in its full breadth. But I do think that it's healthy for a child to explore curiosity in a safe place. Like, it's not like, it's I have not pissed. What? Gross, dude. What the fuck? Jesus Christ. No, I have peed in a toilet with a boner. I'm not into piss play, my dude. God. Calm your dick. Jesus Christ. What was I saying? Jeez, that took me off guard. Anyway, I think personally, if you are someone blooming into puberty and you have access to porn on your phone, that is a healthier way to experience the ins and outs of your own personal sexuality in a safe place where you're not going to be manipulated by somebody else. You're not going to be taught a thing that harms you in the future, and you can really self-express in your own way that you find sexually appealing. That said, I do think sexual education comprehensively is more important, but I think the two together, there's a lot of things that happen for individuals on a sexual level that are very, very personal to that person and only shared with a distinct, subset of people they'll meet throughout their life. You know what I mean? It's not like most people aren't just like, yep, here's what I'm into. Everybody go with it. Some people are fine with that, and it's kind of part of it for them. Like, not to pick on anybody, but we have members of chat here that do, in fact, like telling other people that they're horny, and that's fine and whatever. That's part of it for them, though. Most people engage in sexuality. It's pretty personal, and it's super definitely at 11 years old. It's kind of embarrassing, especially the way that we stigmatize it. So I find it relatively healthy as long as they're not like, getting weird expectations, which is the problem of porn and not addiction. We have a super bizarre sex ed curriculum in my town since I wanted to stop teen pregnancy but wanted it to be effective to the classroom. Had a big sign, sex can wait, masturbate on the wall. Nice. Very nice.
Pornography
I am not talking about you
by minors. Fully 22% of that is done by children younger than 10. That's almost a quarter of it. In 2008, the percentage of adolescents who viewed pornography every day was 5.2%. By 2011, it was over 13%. 2017, 39% of males between 15 and 29 viewed it daily. So the trend suggests that each year more people are watching it more often and at a younger age. And there's nothing to suggest that the trends are going to reverse or halt themselves. That's not good. And the problem that we have isn't exactly pornography in general. Like, there was a time in this country when the best case scenario, especially for young men, was like the Sears catalog, maybe a Playboy that you paid way too much for and then buried in your closet. But we have to understand
We need enough information that's generic to be able to learn and understand our sexuality without having to share it with anyone. I agree.
And that what we're dealing with now is tremendously different than that. And it is something that we've never had in the history of the world, let alone the history of our society. And for the last decade or so, we have been witnessing the effects of it. And a lot of people might think that I'm just like out of touch or something. Don't get me wrong. Like if I had a son and my wife was like, I caught our son and his friends looking at a crumpled Polaroid photograph of a boob behind the garage, I would just laugh. I really wouldn't care. Women just tend to feel negatively about this type of stuff as a general rule.
I totally disagree. Maybe in conservative, shitty circles where they're taught that their only purpose is to procreate and be a vessel for cum, but really, they're not. Women are there to also enjoy sex as much as anybody else. I don't know. They have clitorises, dude. They literally have things we don't have specifically for non-procreative purposes. Why are you like? Don't like. I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. You're typecasting women in general as this sort of sex negative. Ew, my son's looking at a boobie online. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Do you think he knows what a clitoris is? Devotion is the gayest gay to ever gay and could probably find the clitoris real quick. Just tossing that out there. I feel like Devotion's very hip on clits. Women tend to feel negative about this sort of thing, as he makes a 2-hour-long video about how he feels negative about these things. Agreed.
They're not exactly wrong in that. We'll come back to that later. But the point is that you had magazines, maybe pictures, still images, and then you had a finite amount. Then maybe you had some X-rated movies, but you still have to go to adult bookstores to watch clips, those weird theaters that play them. Not exactly a comfortable experience.
The internet, John. The internet. I know he's a young kid. The internet is where we got the porn before that, too. I'm about 10 years older than John. About 10 years. Yes, we had the internet, my guy. I don't know why you're talking about it like this.
Then maybe, you've got VHS tapes, then you actually have to go get VHS tapes, you have to buy it. It's a weird experience. You have to watch it. You can't just like skip around. You can only watch one at a time.
Can't skip around. John, seems to me that you have quite the intimate relationship with porn. Doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like he's foreign to the needing the porn for his papa.
Unless you have multiple televisions with multiple VHS players or the late night cable channels, but even then you actually have to watch the whole thing. You can't skip around. Maybe you can like watch other channels, but still, as a general rule, you had to jump over hurdles to access pornography. And even then, it wasn't as good per se as what we're dealing with now. Then we had dial-up, which was cheaper, less expensive. You had more privacy, but it was still mostly just pictures. They would take forever to load.
He's just the history of porn right now. He skipped all of the thousands of years of porn before the booby pictures, but okay.
You couldn't just consume at a click, and if you wanted videos, you'd have to download stuff, but maybe you don't have the right software. Then you're risking getting a virus. It was still a relatively complicated process. Then 2006 happened, high-speed internet exploded, and everything got bad. That's when you started getting tube sites that had videos like YouTube, except it's pornography, and society basically teed itself up to collapse. And here we are, about 15 years later, dealing with the consequences of that. High-speed internet and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race, but yeah. Kind of a weird timeline to go through, I guess, but it's important to what we're about to get into with the addiction component, because it is because of this evolution that it has become so pervasive in our society and so incredibly addictive.
Does John realize that there used to be like live sex shows which are different than porn? But and even more real? Sure, yeah, porn is a real thing, but it's happened for thousands of years. It's just the way it's just different. They had orgies you could just like go to. Here's the orgy time. Do I know anybody? No, unless you're a regular. Like, John, you have not experienced enough of the world to be so confident saying these things. Cool. Apparently not, man. Live sex shows in HD, unless you don't have glasses, then they're in fuzzy low definition.
It's not clear to me at all that something like this could have ever happened with the Sears catalogs or the Playboys that we mentioned earlier, let alone to this degree of addiction, let alone to this degree of pervasiveness, and let alone to this degree of exposure to our children, who really end up suffering the most in terms of how it damages their brain, but also in terms of how it damages their family and the society that they'll have to grow up in and live in for the rest of their lives. Like, it's one thing if you're a 50-year-old guy who discovers online pornography in 2009, but to be exposed to this as a child while your brain is developing.
Yeah, I was exposed to porn as a child while my brain was developing. I graduated in 2006. I saw porn throughout my teen years. I don't know why he thinks that we needed the tube sites to watch porn. We did. It did make it easier, but certainly it wasn't hard to get a hold of porn.
Your entire generation is in the same boat. All the men in your life are watching it, even if they're not as negatively affected as you are. Like, no.
All the women in my life are watching it. Weird.
No one wants to have this conversation. It's a big problem, and this isn't even taking into.
NBs, you guys watch some porn too? Hell yeah.
Account the gateway to pornography for your children that is social media, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok especially. It's all terrible. If you're a parent, download the apps, look around for 10 minutes. You'll see exactly what I mean. And also what your kid is looking at every day. But anyways, this is the part where we get into the nature of pornography addiction. So fasten your seatbelt. Some of this stuff is pretty dense, but we'll do our best, right? So,
all right, part 2, the science behind addiction. The science behind the porn addiction.